Hello again, fiber friends. Sharice Nicole of So Hooked on Treasures, and welcome to this half rectangle triangle tutorial. Some of you may be familiar with them already, and that's fantastic. But for those of you who are not, that you've seen them made, well, I am going to assist you in this video on how to make them any size you want. Now, the pattern that we're going to be working with is the in-check quilt block pattern. I originally did this as a part of a collaboration when the Quilter's Candy fabric line through Art Gallery Fabrics first came out. This is called Gail Lorraine. And we did a collaboration with myself and 10 other designers to create a sampler. Well, this block is absolutely free. So for those of you that are new to me that may have missed it, I am bringing it back. So in the comments below, please get your free pattern there. And we're going to talk about how to make them as part of this quilt block. However, the method I'm going to show you, you can use to make any size HRT block that you want. It doesn't just have to be a 2-to-1, as in 2 inch to 1 inch, 5 inches to 10 inches. It doesn't have to be that. It can be literally any size you want, as long as your ruler accommodates it. All right, let's talk about what you're going to need. Of course, your fabric. Make sure you first get the free block. So go to the link below in the comments to get that first, priority 1. So that way you know how much fabric you need, and your color choices are up to you. You can go scrappy, and that's always fun too. You can make it just 2 fabrics, whatever you happen to have in your stash. Please don't feel the need to go out and get something special. However, I will always support fabric shopping habits. And also, you'll need a seam ripper, just in case, you never know. A marking tool of your choice. You're going to be marking on the wrong side of the fabric, so whether it's friction pen, chalk, sew line, water soluble, doesn't matter. It's on the inside of your fabric. No one's going to see it anyway. And also your rotary cutter of choice and a ruler. I recommend between a 3 by 6 or 3.5 by 6.5. I think it's what technically the Creative Grids ruler is. That size, or if you have a square, go with a 5 or 6 inch square. You don't want to go too big, like 12 or higher, because then it gets really hard to maneuver around those smaller squares on your table. So stick with a smaller square in this case. And that's basically it. Need any help with any of those supplies? There's a list below, so you can check it out there. And then also, if you don't have any of those supplies, well, I will help you go out and purchase them. So, and that's all below. Be sure to find that. Let's get started, friends. Once you have all your fabric cut, your background, your accents, and also your center square, if you choose to add it, then it's time to draw our lines for our HRTs. It's up to you if you want to use your background fabric or your accent fabric. Either choice, it just depends on the color and what you have to write with and things like that. So friction pens are great for marking on the wrong sides of fabric. Not so great if you're going to be using it for quilting. I would totally recommend water soluble or chalk, either one of those. But for marking on the wrong side of fabric, I don't mind using friction pens. So you have a choice to draw one line from corner to corner, and that's it. Or you can draw 2 lines. So one line from 1/4 inch from each side of the corner to corner line. So for our HRTs in this, it does matter which direction you go. Sometimes you can go from top left to bottom right, and sometimes you can go from top right to bottom left. Like with a half square triangle, it can turn and you can get the line going in different directions, and you can get your colors going in different directions. With HRTs, they do not work the same, so the line does matter. So for here, if you want them going vertically like this, then it's either going to be this way or this way. If you try to do it this way, then you've got horizontal breaks, if you will, instead. So the line direction does matter. For this pattern, our line goes from top right to bottom left. I prefer to do 2 lines, but again, it's totally up to the quilter. I'm going to line up my ruler from corner to corner of my rectangle. Take my friction pen, starting from the center, is gently mark my line on the side. Line 1 finished. Then I'm going to turn it. So some people like to use the same corner to corner line. Make sure that's lined up. You can also know that you're lined up based on your previous line drawn. It should be at the 1/2 inch line on your ruler. So I'm going to line that up. It's still corner to corner, starting not from the edge, but more so some point towards the middle. Doesn't have to be exact. Draw my second line, and it's ready to go. Now, when you are taking this over to your sewing machine to sew, be sure that you do not put your rectangles on top of each other even like this. You're going to end up with what looks more like a kite at the end of it once you open them. So you're instead going to take the 2 fabrics, your accent fabric, right side facing you, your background fabric, wrong side facing you, and you're going to turn it counterclockwise. So these meet here at the corners. Then you'll take this over to your sewing machine and sew on both lines. If you chose to do just the one line from corner to corner, you would just sew a 1/4 inch using your 1/4 inch foot, the 1/4 inch to the right and a 1/4 inch to the left of that line. Let's take it over to the sewing machine and come back, and I'll show you what we end up with. Both of my lines are sewn, and at this point, I'm going to take my ruler again, place it from corner to corner. Your seam line should roughly match up with the line on your ruler, the 1/4 inch line. And I'm going to separate my 2 pieces, and you'll have these. When you open them up, I prefer to press open personally. You'll take these to your sewing machine and press them open or to the direction of your choice. After you've pressed them, this is what you end up with. Again, their lines are going the exact same direction. It just depends on which fabric you want on top. So let's talk about squaring these up. You do not have to go out and get any sort of special rulers for trimming up your HRTs. You can use the rulers that you currently have at home. I have 2 examples here for you just to show you the difference. No matter which rulers you choose, you can use these and make your HRTs any size that you so choose. So if you want to use this pattern or any other pattern, or you choose to take your scraps and make scrappy HRTs with whatever you have left over, you can make them any size you want to with a technique that I'm going to show you. They do have specialty rulers, but those are only for 2-to-1 ratio half rectangle triangles. This method, you can make any single size you want, as long as your ruler is big enough and you have some trusty painter's tape. In this case, on this ruler, I have marked 2 spaces versus in this Creative Grids ruler, I have marked only 1 in this area here. Now, some rulers, like with Creative Grids, they already have a 1/4 inch corner marked, whether it's at least 1 or sometimes all 4 corners. So those would necessitate only having to mark 1 time on your ruler. For example, here in my Riley Blake rulers, there is no corner marking, so I have to add 2. Now, it's very simple. It's not a big deal to have to add a second one, so please don't feel like you have to specifically go out and get another ruler just because it already has the corner marking there. Not necessary. So with your trusty painter's tape, we're going to follow the directions in our in-check pattern and mark the 1/4 inch corner for our larger HRT, and then the bottom left corner for our HRT. Make sure when you're marking with the tape, you're not putting it on the outside of the corner that you're using, because this corner you need to see. This corner here you need to see. You want to make sure you mark on the inside. So if it's at 2 1/4 and 2 3/4, your tape is to the outside, or I should say the inside within that 2 3/4. So the outside of your tape is at 2 3/4. And then the outside of your tape here is in the 2 1/4 mark, and the rest of the tape is within the 2 1/4. So therefore you're marking on the inside of your marked piece. Now let's take our rulers and go to our blocks and get them squared up. This is the larger half rectangle triangle. So I have my lines marked at the 1/4 inch placement here on this ruler, and that's at the top right. And at the bottom left, I've got my tape markings here to make sure it is going to end up the size that I want. I'm going to show you why these tape markings are so important. When you first start, when you have your blocks, have them horizontally. It does make it easier, especially with your tape lines are more horizontally. You can turn it, but it makes it a little bit harder to see, in my opinion, but that's my preference. I like to turn it horizontally, so my rectangle is facing this way, long ways. And I first place my ruler where the tape intersects at the top right and the tape intersects in that corner at the bottom left. I'm going to line those up over my seam line, making sure that line goes right through the middle of those intersecting points. I'm also going to make sure, just to make sure I have room to allow for possible slips and errors, because they do happen, is that my ruler is up to the corner as far as it can go without going over. This gives you space to trim, but yet extra space to play with in case something happens after. So I'm going to do that, have it lined up, grab my rotary cutter, trim off the right side and the top side. So right now it looks a little wonky. Yes. This time we're going to turn it 180 degrees. Taking our same ruler. Now we're going to line it up with the exact measurements of the block, which means you have a 1/4 inch corner poking out here at the bottom, and you are going to line it up along this bottom edge and the left side edge, making sure that the intersections of your tape are still at the seam line on both sides. Fantastic. We look good. Take your rotary cutter again. Cut that right side one more time. And the top. And voila, your half rectangle triangle is all ready to go. Wanted you to note that there is a little extra space on each of those ends. Your seam line, you do not, absolutely do not want it going exactly from corner to corner like a half square triangle, or else when you sew these together, your points are going to get cut off. So it'll be flat on the top versus coming to a nice sharp point that you want it to. So make sure that you have that little extra space and know that that is exactly what you want and you are spot on. Once all your larger HRTs are trimmed up and your smaller HRTs are trimmed up, you're going to notice, and the smaller ones, just to point out, a lot less space here than you do here with that 1/4 inch mark. It's only because you're not really turning it too much. It's more close to a half square triangle than it is to a half rectangle triangle. It's like a 1/4 inch difference. It's very minor. So you're not going to see that same sort of gap. It's so very minuscule, but it's there, I promise. So when you lay out your blocks, you're going to put the 2 bigger ones like this, the 2 smaller ones like this, keeping your accent fabric on the inside so you make that nice check mark that we've been going for. You're going to sew these up here, the larger ones together and the smaller ones together. Then you'll sew this piece and this piece together. I again like to press open to reduce bulk. So I'm going to go sew those together and I'll come back and show you what it looks like all done. Okay, friends, here she is. She's super cute. I love how this comes out, or you can turn it this way, do a horizontal. Either way, it is so fun to play with this block and do different things with. I have made a couple different versions. I have this one with the navy. I love this navy print as well. And then also another small flower print. But you can have lots of fun. You don't have to do them all the same. You don't have to necessarily follow the block as the instructions have it laid out. You can have fun with it. All right, friends, that includes the tutorial on how to do half rectangle triangles. Now, this applies not only to the in-check block, but it also applies to the other HRT patterns that I have in my shop. So you are now equipped to go out and tackle those as well. I know you can do this. If you have any comments or questions, please be sure to drop them below. I am more than happy to answer them and help you out in any way possible. Any feedback that you provide is an effort for me to make these videos better for you, more beneficial. That's what I'm here for. Don't forget to subscribe because I am dying to show you what I do with some of the check mark blocks that I have created as a result of this tutorial. So stay tuned. You won't want to miss those because there's more than one option than just creating another quilt block to whether it's hang on your wall or anything along those lines. So you're not going to want to miss those. So make sure you click that subscribe and it'll notify you as soon as they drop. Thank you all so much. I am glad that you came to my channel. I hope to see you around again and enjoy creating and making.